It is race 3 of the match. Rossa Prada Pirelli against Emirates Team New Zealand. The scorecard sits at 1-all. And now the talk begins. We have a steady, light breeze today, Kenny and Nathan. How do you approach this?
Well, Rossa Prada Pirelli, we know, just changed to their light air main. Nathan, I wonder if they're regretting that right now, because this is actually a little breezier than I think anybody thought it was going to be, getting up close to a 10-knot average all the time. So this is great news for us. I wonder, though, if they made the wrong choice on their mainsail.
Yeah, well, it was about 25 minutes ago we were seeing some pictures of them dropping the main, changing it, and I guess they thought that the breeze wasn't going to come in, and now it's at the 10-knot wind range. Like, who are we to second guess these guys? They know the forecast. They've got all the observations out there. I bet you they've got the right gear on.
Here is Francesco Bruni on the fluid side, and of course, Jimmy.
You know, one good sign is they're not having to get towed in. They think they can get up on their foils right now. They got 2 minutes to go. A lot of times, if it's real light, they actually get towed by their towboats up onto the foils.
So we'll get confirmation from race control surely if we have a good race to go. Looks good from where we sit.
This is the race committee. The wind sampling period is complete, and this race will start on schedule.
Rub your hands together. We got a race, baby. And it's race number 3 of the match, the 36th America's Cup. Te Rehotai, the defender, Emirates Team New Zealand against Rossa, the challenger.
Alarm clocks just went off all over Italy. Get out of bed and let's watch some sailboat racing.
60 million race fans in Italy watching their team. And the confidence is huge. You go back to what Francesco Bruni said. He said after that last day of racing, they should have destroyed us. They didn't. There is bluster going on again.
They're on an even line.
Small pin bias, but very small.
Yeah.
Here's where they start analyzing the starting box, Nathan. They start analyzing both ends of the starting line. They have displays for everything, but the basics is which end is favored. Just like any other boat in the world, every once in a while we got to bring ourselves back. Just because they're going 50 miles an hour doesn't mean that it isn't normal sailboat racing with wind shifts and bias to the starting line.
Yeah, exactly. We heard Francesco Bruni say the pin end's a little bit favoured. It's just a little bit better.
Huge crowds in today because Auckland, New Zealand has come back to what they call level 1. Life's back to normal and we are racing. The expected temperature today in degrees in the city of Sails was 25. It is a beautiful summer's day. The harbour is pristine. And Rossa Prada Pirelli into the start area. 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go from race start.
Good.
You're almost changing to wanting a women's
You'll see on the right-hand side starboard in 2 minutes. In will come Emirates Team New Zealand, the defender.
I told you I could really work here.
2, 1, and away you go.
Up on the breeze, boys.
90. Tight, you with it?
More.
Upwind board, just
Rossa came in a little bit late, Nathan. Kiwis on time. All of a sudden, this is a much tighter little chase mode than we're used to seeing at this time during the starting sequence.
Yeah, the race committee, just follow the chat on board here and see what they're planning to do.
Some spectators inside the spectator boundary, we have to postpone this race start.
Postponing it, sorry.
That's like having the wind being taken out of your sails. There are spectator boats inside the boundary. Race postponement.
I think the Kiwis would be kind of bummed out there. They were in a nice little spot. When you're coming into that area, you get to make the choice a little more easily if you're really up close to the boat in front of you, because there isn't that big gap and a larger time for anticipation. I always like that anyway.
Yeah, the goal of the starboard entry is to try and make that jibe as quick as they can and get on the heels of the port tack entry boat. Puts a bit more pressure on the other boat to get their timing perfect.
Yeah, I think
Just confirmation. Race postponement. Race postponement. Spectators inside the boundary of the race course. Did you like what you saw from Emirates Team New Zealand at that early of what you saw?
Yeah, I think Rossa maybe paid. Often we don't see a boat pay for being late coming into the starting box. But in that particular case, I think they did. I think they were 5 or 6 seconds late coming in, and all of a sudden you got the you got the
This
dog
is the race
right on your
committee. We have
heels
posted a new start time for 16:23, 8 minutes to go.
16:23, 4:23 local time. It's a little under 8 minutes now to race start. It's race number 3 of the match in the 36th America's Cup. Okay, so now we have to reset everything mentally. When you've been geared up and ready to go for that race start, say they've pulled the rug out. It's okay, those fans will be happy to wait.
8 minutes to go, folks. Where would you rather live anywhere else in the world right now? You're back to
level one,
and man, we know how lucky we have it here in New Zealand, don't we?
I was walking around this viaduct area that you see is now packed with fans, and you know what? You could physically feel a sense of relief in Auckland City, which was under level 2 guidelines. That, you know what? Let's get back and enjoy the America's Cup because it's all good here. And they're out on the water too and having a great time as well. But now we have to reset the whole mind game now. So if you're Emirates, does that work against you because you felt like you were coming in, or if you're Rossa, you're going, oh, okay, maybe we just got out of that one a little bit.
I don't know, Nathan. I don't know what you think, but I always want to get going. Let's go. As soon as the race was on, for me, there was a sense of kind of relaxation. It was the pre-start. You know, it was all that build-up before the start that there would be some tension for me. I just want to get going at this stage. So I'd say both teams were slightly disappointed, but these are also some hardened veterans, and they've been through this before.
Oh, they've been through this before, and often when the teams have been here doing all their practice races,
just to do an angle here so that you guys can
delays
cruise a
and
bit.
pushbacks and things like that. But one thing I have noticed is that the boats look like they got slightly different jibs on, and maybe we could go to Shirley on the water right now. Can you spot the different size jibs, and is there any look at anyone changing jibs out there at the moment?
Yes. So the pre-start we just
Nathan, no changing
we don't need a lot of
jibs. Actually, the Italians are practicing their time and distance. I guess they didn't quite get that right, so they're practicing at a couple of entries. And they do look a little bit different. I mean, it's something we can hopefully get a closer look at for you. We're just heading over there now.
Thanks, Shirley. That's Shirley Robertson, our double Olympic gold medalist. Best eyes on the water as we take a look at Emirates Team New Zealand, the defender. We're not too far away, 5 minutes and 30 and counting towards start on race number 3. And we talk about starts. And let's go back to race 1. And because there was that attempted luff by Rossa Prada Pirelli on Emirates in race number 1 of the match.
Yeah, this was actually much closer to being a foul than we ever thought. We went back and analyzed this, and this is what we see. This is what the sailors see from boat to boat and what we see from the helicopter. Jimmy Spithill was falling behind quickly and trying to take a run at Emirates Team New Zealand. The boat to windward of Emirates Team New Zealand, they have to stay out of the way if there's a luff. We didn't even think about this, but there's Spithill saying we're going to give a little luff here. He actually takes a right-hand turn, gives the other boat opportunity to keep clear, stay out of the way, which they do stay out of the way. And believe it or not, this was much closer than we thought it was going to be. So we're going to bring on what we call our keep clear border. And that's what the umpires are looking at. There's actually a diamond shape around the boats, and this is for their own safety because they got these sharp things sticking out all over the place. The keep clear border is what actually the umpires see. And, you know, it's really fascinating how close, Nathan, they actually came to a foul.
Let's follow it here closely. There's obviously reasonable space right now. As New Zealand start to go past, you see the luff begin, and watch how close these diamonds get to each other.
And the outside edges of those diamonds, according to Chief Umpire Richard Slater, got about 1 meter from each other. And that's what the umpires are looking at. And here we go. They're going 30-plus knots. So this happens pretty quickly.
That's a meter difference between the outside of those board. The borders are what matters.
It's not the boats themselves.
So does that mean if those diamonds overlap each other, that would have been a penalty?
By a centimeter, then that's the accuracy of this whole system.
Wow, closer than we thought.
There you go. See, I'm telling you something today. This is great.
I learn something every day from you, Kenny. Don't you worry about that.
Oh, please.
It's usually
So it begins 3 minutes and 26 seconds and counting towards the start of race number 3 in the Cup. Let's go up to Heli 1 and ask Paul Goodison, main trimmer from American Magic. Has anything changed from what you can see up top, Paul, weather-wise?
No real big change from earlier. Again, it always looks like there's a little bit more wind at the top of the course. The marks are right in the middle of the motor E channel, and then down in the bottom of the start box, still a little bit lighter. It'll be interesting to see if the Kiwis can get as close on the tail as the Italian guys they did that last start, because they were in a strong position there.
Thanks, Paul. Looking forward to your analysis throughout the 2 races today, 3 and 4 of the match.
5.
Here he is, Peter Burling, helmsman, the young step to win the Emirates Cup in 2017. Has the weight of a nation on his shoulders. And there, of course, is his mate, flight controller, Blair Tube. The role these guys play. They look like pilots, don't they? They really do look like fighter pilots, and they are in these AC-75 flying monohulls, which are, I've got to say, every time we look at them, Kenny, they are just beautiful to watch. So here we go. 4th entry for Rossa Prada Pirelli, allowed in at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. They're going to be late into it. And on the right-hand side, the starboard side, in will come Emirates Team New Zealand. They allowed it in the start box at the 2-minute period.
Push them down. Same angle.
So this is kind of a carbon copy of what we saw in that first start, maybe even a little bit closer this time. So good, strong position for the Kiwis, but look out for the dirty air, that bad air, that wing wash of Rossa right now. That's one thing that they have to be very careful and mindful of.
Drive. They will probably take if they come up, we go up. Okay, no? Good.
Looks like the lead back by the Kiwis right now, to the inside, still with over a minute to go.
Okay, board's just come now.
Board's coming up.
Yeah, speed and do a recheck.
So we just check this
Yeah, it's 2 boarding. It's 1 boarding.
Looks like he's close to not getting up to this line.
Yes. Probably he cannot shut.
Looks like the Kiwis are marginally off their foils.
Yeah, we keep going forward, Jimmy, and then we do a last push.
Really strong
He's losing gauge.
He's
He's struggling.
gas bubble.
Yeah. You can see
If
him.
he can get it up and going and lay the pin in, could be an even
I don't think he can shut. So he's due the line, I think.
30 seconds to the start of race 3.
2 boards down, trying to slow up.
Time and distance critical to make the start.
Didn't increase yet.
Happy to charge here.
Start to push now. Positive 2
Good
feet.
separation.
Only just on the pin, but all good.
Down a bit, maybe. Yeah,
Under
it's
one
good.
up here. All the way.
Race 3 of the match in the 36th American Cup. Clean start by both. Emirates Team New Zealand, Rossa, Prada Pirelli.
Strong.
Same thing.
Boys, do the commentary for us, Nathan.
Good
It was
mode.
just 2 boats that were kind of in control, kind of
Okay,
okay with where they were.
He's a
Even start.
He's a
As
little
they
lower, a
approach
little
the
faster. He is.
border, in that first crossing, remember, Prada will have to give Team New Zealand the right of way when they tack to port if they get into that zone, if they get into this zone. And you'll see Prada go probably fairly soon.
3, 2, 1,
Port down.
1. Forward. Good. Just come on.
Hold out of this, boys.
Thanks. Okay.
Okay, main out.
Rossi.
Lord in front, they're in a lead out
Slightly
position. This is
quicker.
the
Good angle
long
for our
way
hill
across the
higher.
other boundary.
Arrow, boys,
Luna
arrow.
Rossa can
We're
go
high build.
high mode.
I drive.
Might struggle. We saw this several
Coming up.
times
Yeah,
against
we might want to use
Ineos and also
Okay,
against
trimming.
Okay, he's going
American
forward
Magic.
all the
Prada
time.
having this
10 degrees
high,
higher.
slow
body
mode, squeezing the
We
computer.
just want to keep
And
the
a
sticks
little
tough,
better
and then we can
tack,
get a bit.
surely.
Copy.
Going out to you on the water, it looked like,
down.
again,
Down.
Rossa was a little better on that tack, and when we're so close just a few meters makes a huge difference.
Pero nel little lefty.
Kenny, we're right behind them. You're absolutely right. Also, Luna Rossa really quickly got to pace. I was watching their BSG as well, a knot or two higher.
I think it's softer in front
just
here.
left New Zealand with no choice. Very, very impressive manoeuvring by the Italian team.
If he tacks.
Slowly coming on the breeze here.
Yes,
Slowly
yes.
coming on the breeze.
Paul Goodison up in the helicopter. You
Better
sailed
pressure
against
here.
This, Italian
Nice
boat.
pressure
Any of this surprising so far?
I think again we're just seeing the forgiveness of the larger foils on the Italian boat. You saw it in the start, they just managed to stay on their foils. Just there out of the attack, they did a super nice job of just staying dry and close and putting the lee bow on, and which inevitably led to New Zealand will probably be below their minimum tackle speed. That means they just have to accept the loss, dive down through the dirt and build enough speed to tack. So a really strong position now for the Italians.
I think at the top not much to play, it's quite even.
Moving up on leg number 1 of 6 in this third race.
What do you want to do when you tack?
Early advantage, Luna Rossa.
Do you want to go on him or
Let's see when we get there, because there's puff coming here.
he's stacking here? He's stacking.
I think pressure even. Pressure even.
Good. So there we go.
If you
One
want to hit
left.
him, it's now.
Go one
Okay.
left. Take the five. We go.
Copy that.
No wider coming up.
Good discussion of Luna Rossa. They're talking about, are they going to tackle them or are they
Okay,
going to
performance here,
go
ragazzi,
through to the
but
boundary
not.
and minimise attack? They decided to minimise the attack, and really they're confident in their boats.
No kidding, and actually that was kind of interesting because you tack on the Kiwi boat in that spot, you shove them
He's going on the
right
way now,
back
so
over
we're
to the
just
short
seeing
side of
right
the
here,
racetrack. But
the
yeah,
right here.
this
Yeah.
is confidence in your boat.
Little
when you
building
just
in the
let
left
it
hand,
go
Jim.
like that.
3.
But this comes as no surprise, surely, with the way they operated and got better and better in the Prada Cup. They just moved straight into the match with that same confidence.
Yeah, but remember, they tack better. So if you tack better, we think they tack better at this stage. If you tack better on the Italian boat, why not get the other guy tacking right?
And when we talk about tacking, Nathan, you've always said, you know, you can lose distance on the tack, but maybe not so much with Luna Rossa.
Well, every boat tacking it there is losing distance, but they're just losing a little bit less than Emirates Team New Zealand. That was what we learnt on Wednesday, and I'm sure all these teams have learnt similar things, but I'm just shocked that they didn't try and shut the race down quite early there. They've now set up
even
for split at the
direction.
top gate.
Split at the top gate, and
pressure,
you let a fast boat have some breathing space. Here's the Kiwis right there. You would have had a sigh of relief. Thank you for that gift.
Exactly.
Left on the number.
Coming into the top gate, gate number 1 for the first time in this third match of the America's Cup, and it will be Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli carrying on from race number 2, and they will lead Emirates Team New Zealand around the mark. But have they let them off the hook?
There will be a split. They obviously did fine on that cross, but there will be a split on this run.
10-second lead to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli when they head down to that first downwind leg. You take a look at our heads-up display. This gives you an indication of speed, the distance to the lead, and of course the most important thing, our velocity made good, Kenny, on the right-hand side of your screen as you see it there.
Potentially a bit lighter and 10 feet. Standing by. Yeah. Position.
It's amazing how, Nathan,
Coming down.
a decision like that halfway up the first beat will actually have reverberations through the whole race. You know, so all of a sudden, you're trying to control the race course after letting the other guy go. Again, so far, no harm, no foul. In fact, you can make a case they've done better because of it, but it's still, it changes the race.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. You've got two options. Either you tack on your competitor and try and force the extra maneuvers for them, or get in phase and keep touching the race, or you actually are confident with where you're going. Maybe they thought there was better breeze on the left, we tack on the lay line, we keep it simple, and they've stretched out a little bit. I'm curious to know how it looks from the helicopter, Goody, because you got the best view on the sky right now. Is it even out there in terms of pressure, or is the pressure better on one side or the other?
Sorry? I think we just stay in phase.
Really coming down through the channel. So what you'll see as you go from top to bottom of the course is that the middle of the course generally seems like there's more pressure. Out on the edges towards the boundary, it looks a little bit softer. I think that'll be really interesting to see if the guys decide to stretch all the way to the boundary to reduce the manoeuvres, or whether at some point they just decide they're going to drive down the middle of the course, slightly better pressure. But there's not many shifts out here at the moment, and the pressure looks quite stable apart from the difference between the middle and the edges.
It's coming as no surprise, as we've seen in recent times, that Jimmy Spittle and Francesco Bruni are taking control of a race. Let's go on board, hear the conversation.
This is good pressure. We go for the 1 and 2.
Yeah, I agree. Probably a little more to come.
You're not coming up on the comms, Pietro.
Yeah, probably a little bit more to come, I said.
Yep.
Still on a little lefty. Tanking a bit of speed.
Yeah, a little build here coming up. Stand by. 3, 2, 1.
Virtual eye giving you a grandstand view of this course, the back paddock out of the eastern beaches up Maraita Way, and you can see at the top of your screen another large spectator fleet and a lead by Rossa.
Yeah, a little gain here though for the Kiwis, no question about it. Again, the race course became spread out, and when you're the
nice ride here,
it's really one of the last things you want is constant splits to either side of the course. We saw that lead just get halved on the last crossing.
Emirates Team New Zealand were steaming down, but it will still be in the deficit. They will have to make another drive to get into that gate area as Rossa, Prada, Pirelli head towards the downward gate for the first time. And they will round it, leading an Emirates Team New Zealand side that have made ground. It was 10 seconds at the top gate. What will it be at the bottom? Have they found any advantage?
Go air out, boys, when you can.
It's not going to be much, but they're still going to be behind. Emirates Team New Zealand, the defender, 1-all in this series at the moment, has a 13-second deficit. They've lost 3 seconds on the downwind leg.
Those gains they made down the middle of that course, they ended up having to do that extra gyro, that one extra manoeuvre, and that's probably the 3-second loss. They might have gained 3 or 4 seconds, and then the extra gyro cost them a bit. Now they've had to do the difficult manoeuvre of the round-up tack, and here you see Prada tacking out on the boundary. I'd expect from here, Kenny, that they're going to face tack them on the next one and start to put a bit of hurt on Emirates Team New Zealand.
Right now you'd have to, surely if you're looking at these boats out in the water, this is a gut feel so early on in the piece, but you'd have to say that the Kiwis look to have a little advantage maybe downwind, and Prada maybe has a little advantage upwind. Is that fair to say from your vantage point?
It's hard to tell. As Goody said, it's quite a light wind and it's funneling through a gap. And so as you get to the edges of the course, it's softer, it's sort of coming in waves, and there's so many spectator boats. And the wind's light, so it's struggling to get over all the boats. So it's hard to say, the middle of the course is a lot stronger and it's patchy at the edges.
Under like pressure in the middle right now.
My rake, my trap.
Well, if you're an Italian fan and you see Jimmy Spittle and
He's
Francesco Bruni tacking right on top of Emirates Team New Zealand,
pressure increasing in front.
breathing a little sigh of relief there.
On the wind here, boys, on the wind.
Now, if you're a Team New Zealand fan, you're looking for Peter Burley to pull a bit of magic out and get back into this one, I'm guessing.
Pressure increasing. Nice.
Always inside the jeep.
Maybe new to your
Nice one,
game.
Stand by.
Where's the magic
3,
come from, and what do you do?
2, 1, 4 down.
The magic right now is trying to find a little bit of extra pressure, trying to get a little bit of leverage, a bit of separation from the competition, try and find that little bit of extra speed, and if you can just start closing the distance down, start attacking, force an error from your competitor.
Similar to what they were doing on the downwind leg, right? Splitting the course and finding some pressure.
Yeah, but the big theme here is there is still this unbelievably loud rumor of a radical boat speed advantage to the Kiwis is patently not there. It is not there. These are, at best, even boats. At worst, you'd have to give a little advantage in the lake to the Italians right now. It's really...
It is a beautiful boat.
Kenny, it's a really good point. There's lots of talk about boat speed differences, but it's also got a lot to do with the angles at which they're sailing. I think Team New Zealand probably are going through the water faster, and hopefully after the race we can get a bit of data to show the speed differences. But for me, it's the angles. It's how good Prada are sailing a high mode. Their tack losses look less with those bigger foils, and they look like they're sailing a little bit slower on average, but the angle they're sailing to the wind is narrower. So they're ending up doing less distance. So in these lighter winds, the bigger foils are working for them right now.
Yeah, I completely agree, Nathan. It just looks like they've got more of an ability to do the modes they want. It looks like the New Zealand boat has to really get the speed up for the manoeuvres. They have a higher bottom speed through the manoeuvres. It just looks like the Italians are more forgiving, easier to tack at a slightly slower boat speed. And that high mode is what really putting them in some big gains at the moment.
Going in 3, 2, 1, 4 down.
Lots more tacks on this bit than the first up and
pushing them to the short side. The short side of the track is the bottom side of our screen right now. So they're gonna slowly but surely keep trying to put the pressure on it. Goody, we had a question this morning from on these boats. All boats have a wind shadow, coming off the bad air coming off the lead boat. What do you think the length, the distance is of wind shadows on boats going this fast? Is it different from the boats that people sail at home, or is it about the same?
I think it's probably bigger because the line gets into the wind shadow much faster. So you see quite a big dirty area behind the boats, and because there's such narrow apparent wind angles, that extends straight behind them, not so much down to leeward, but it's more straight behind them and a good couple of 100 meters back.
Biometrics of the grinders, northern crew, heart rates, breaths per minute, body temperatures, just a little something special for the match we bring to you here. Wherever you are around the world in the 196 countries taking this broadcast, this is race 3 and we're about to complete the halfway point, and it's still Rossa, Prada Pirelli, the challenger of record, will complete the third leg ahead of the defender, Emirates Team New Zealand. Calm and controlled racing again from Rossa as they round the mark. It was 10 seconds at the first mark, 13 seconds at the second mark. What will it be at the third?
This is a stretch, Nathan, and a good stretch, and that was one of the best legs we've ever seen this Italian boat sail, in my opinion.
Couldn't agree more.
Emirates Team New Zealand being left in the wake of Rossa in race 3.
Yes.
They will round the mark. 27 seconds behind the challenger.
Wow. Saw this coming.
Nobody in New Zealand saw this coming.
That's fair. Everybody in Italy saw this coming. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much.
We're just going to roll into this a bit more.
Virtual Eye giving you just a beautiful look at this course speed. Not the favoured course, by the way, from the race committee. It was always going to be course C, the stadium course, closer to the city, so crowds could get around and see it from vantage points.
Yeah, but course C, it's out on the back paddock and it's quite stable out there, you know. It's a race course more about boat speed. You know, if we can come into course C in the coming days, now that we're back at alert level 1, it's shiftier. There's more current, there's more local knowledge, and
little trim maybe.
Maybe that's what Team New Zealand need. You know, it seems like at least in this lighter breeze, they're not quite quick enough. And we get back into the shifty conditions over the weekend in course C, we could see a very different event.
No.
Got it. Good. Play the phaser.
Little trim, boys.
done a really nice job of the aero package on this boat. It started out without those little cowls along the side of the cockpits in the front of the boat. Those have all been additions during the event as we've been sailing since the middle of December, and gets these crew members out of the way. Aerodynamics is such a large part of this new sailing world, this new sailing style that's taken the sailing world by storm.
On board Emirates Team New Zealand.
Very quiet at the moment, isn't it? A lot of concentration.
Okay, just going boundary job us, next best shot.
The moment Lloyd is the one in left.
A lot of boats out there in the water watching today. Either
it's a Friday.
I don't think a lot of does anybody work in New Zealand? Not during
Not when the Americas Cup.
Not in Auckland, at least. Going to this new level, it'll be a holiday anyway.
A little smaller jib, isn't it, Shirley? But this boat with the slightly bigger mainsail, we think, and slightly smaller jib. This sail combination certainly looks like it's working from our vantage point.
Here we go.
Yeah, they just look like they have a little bit more power. It's more forgiving, and I know we've been saying that a lot about them, but you know, throughout the manoeuvres, upwind and downwind, they've no concerns. It's actually quite light at the bottom of the course. It's, you know, 8, 9 knots, but they always seem really powered up, and I think the Kiwis less so, you know, bigger angles coming out of manoeuvres. And, you know, it's much harder. I think you're right. I've been watching the numbers as we come down this run, Kenny, and the Kiwis have a bit more depth for sure.
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli complete. The fourth leg. They're on their penultimate leg now, heading on the upwind. It was 27 seconds at the top. What would it be here? Well, as we sort of suspect, a little bit more downwind speed from Emirates Team New Zealand, but it's still 22 seconds and there's a long way to go.
With a last-minute jibe too. That was a nice little game by the Kiwis. You know, don't ever count these guys out. Luna Rossa, toward the end of a race, very quickly gets back in line. So, yeah, interesting. Fascinating, actually.
I keep coming back to the press conference after day number 1, and he was very relaxed, Peter Burling, but he did say he'd given us just another half a leg. We've got to run him down in that second race, but it's not sensible because you've got to be on them. You can't be that far away and then say, I need another half a leg. This is the America's Cup match, for goodness sake.
You better start running fast right now, boy, because this is not an easy. This is a big mistake by the boat in front zone right now, isn't it, Nathan? You're not chasing down from what we've seen so far with pure boat speed from a 300 meter deficit.
No, it's looking, put it this way, these conditions are probably the easiest conditions to sail these boats. To sail these boats a lot. How difficult is it right now to be making crew errors? These guys are really well practiced. It's got to be some of the easiest conditions to race the boats in, so we're not going to see a mistake.
These guys are at the top of their game. You can see so far everything's been really crisp, really nice. I see the Kiwis are just managing to exit their jibes a little lower than the Italian. Speed at a lower angle, and that to me seems where the gains are. But unless there's a big crew handling error, then it's going to be really difficult to drag this down. The Italians just keeping it tight, and I think they don't make any mistakes, and it's another win on the board for the Prada team.
Let's just talk quickly what Paul was saying, Kenny. You know, exiting things a bit lower, and is that giving them an advantage?
Oh yeah. For the Kiwis downwind, that's an advantage, no question about it. But I would go the counter to that. I think the Italians are exiting more effectively upwind. So we're seeing differences between the boats. Listen, the boats are different. The foil packages are different. The sail packages are different. The hull shapes are different. There has to be differences between the boats. One appears just a little more efficient downwind, and the other appears a little more efficient upwind so far. And Nathan, if I had a choice between a boat that's better upwind or downwind, I take the upwind boat every day of the week.
Well, you spend more time going upwind, don't you? You know, you're sailing a slower speed. You're generally doing wider angles. I'm sure we could find the percentages of upwind and downwind. If you're quicker upwind, you can take control of the race from the start. You spend more time going upwind, you can hurt the guy behind you, and then when you're going downwind, you instantly accelerate it and you get further ahead when you go around those top marks. So most boats you ever race, it's always about upwind performance.
The penultimate leg of the third race in the match, leg 5 of 6, and it's a strong lead to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. The scorecard at the moment is 1-all. Are we simply seeing again control from Luna Rossa?
Oh yeah, well, net control. You got your choice between wind shifts and kind of tactics on the water versus controlling your opponent and keeping them to one side of the race course. I wouldn't be surprised to see another tack here right on top of them and make sure that they just have split the course in half. Force your opponent to always go to the short side of the race course, and hey, it's much harder to pass.
Pretty high.
Pretty slow in that tack though, didn't they, Nick?
Yeah, also the greatest attacks. Looks like they're maybe not completely affecting them. Goody, what can you see from above? What happened in that tack? And
something
are they
wrong
on
on
their
the
breeze
chip of
there?
that tank, right?
Might have.
It looked like a slower turn, whether there was some sort of ventilation on the board is quite hard from
A little bit on a higher
But I
side.
think the Kiwi boat has clear hair right now, so they might not have to spend an extra tack to get to the windward market at the same time, because it just looks each upwind, they're just forcing the manoeuvre from the Kiwi boat, and every extra manoeuvre in this sort of wind is a 50, 60. So I think that's what they're managing really nicely at the moment.
Yeah, Goody, we can see that the shots we're looking at right now, it just looks like Luna Rossa are pointing significantly higher. Like, look at this shot from the helicopter behind. One boat sailing almost 5 degrees higher than the other. And, you know, we've been watching Emirates Team New Zealand. They haven't made any mistakes. The crew work on board looks slick. You know, the maneuvers are good, but to me, it just doesn't look like their boat's motored correctly for this lighter wind.
Better attack there, boys. Nice.
I wouldn't call it a slow boat. Surely I wouldn't call this a slow boat, would you? It's just another boat's being sailed a little better right now.
Yeah, and we're seeing slightly different conditions today. We're learning, Kenny, every day.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli heading towards the 5th gate and the homeward run in race number 3 of the match. And they pretty much haven't put a foot wrong.
3,
strong,
2,
confident, and smooth.
Okay, all yours.
1 leg to go for the challenger of records. 22 seconds it was at the end of leg number 4. What will be the leg number 5?
Every upwind leg, this is becoming a bit of a trend.
Nice pressure at the mark. Nice angle there.
Emirates Team New Zealand now finally getting to the gates.
5.
The margin is
2, 1 leg.
strung out just a little bit more in favour of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli at 38 seconds.
It feels like reasonable pressure here at the moment, Pete. Yeah, I think we've got to go boundary here. Yeah.
Surely any passing lanes out there? I mean, just from our vantage point here, it just looks smooth and steady across the whole course. Anything big that could give these Kiwis hope?
We're on the right, yeah.
It's just as you see it, it's really steady in the middle of the course. And, wow, it's an impressive lead. If you're a Kiwi, what are you thinking now? There's 3 days of these kind of conditions forecast. This is a big race.
Now it's a little bit better.
Quite simply, if you're a Kiwi, the odds are being defied. All the so-called chatter.
My traveler, you wanna go and have a check again?
The paper, it's written off.
You've been in the media your whole life. At least Nathan and I are new to the media, so we're new to this guessing game.
Even pressure.
I mean, You media guys have created this.
Stop pointing the finger. The one thing we've got to remind ourselves, that boat that you were looking at right now is being sailed to perfection. It was in race number 2 and race number 3. They pretty much haven't put a foot wrong. And look at that lead for Luna Rossa. They're doing a job on the Defender.
Soft there, boys.
This is all about development. If you remember back to December, these guys were quite a bit off the pace, but remember, they didn't have their final set of foils on. They've done a lot of aerodynamic changes to this boat. I bet you they've changed the rudder, they've changed the way they sail the boat, new sets of sails. Max Serena said, it's all about upgrades.
But you know, when we go back to the Prada Cup and they all released their boats, the one boat that hardly changed physically to the eye was Luna Rossa. Everybody else, their second boat came in, they were dramatically different. This boat you're looking at right now, you had to look close to find the changes.
Pretty good straight ahead.
Yeah.
They like their first boat. Their first boat had some structural issues. Or they said they could have sailed their first boat, but it did. They built it light. They built it light on purpose. Sure enough, the thing was busting apart half the time. They built almost the same boat this time around, but like Nathan said, it's all those bits and pieces that make the big difference, and we're seeing this come to fruition.
3, 2, 1, turning.
Nice race, guys. Yeah, you said that.
Sport is all about moments,
pivotal
moments. And I wonder right now whether you are, whether you're watching around the world, wherever you are, we might be seeing a pivotal moment in the America's Cup match on the Hauraki Golf. Because Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli has just won another race. They go ahead 2-1 in the match against the Defender. And you can bet those fans of Luna Rossa are pretty happy about that. That was a statement race.
Gotta do it again. Regroup, start all over again.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, in the background, in come the Defender. And it must be so disheartening knowing he just can't get it.
One race it could be an aberration. Let's do it 2 in a row and then we're on to something.
Emirates Team New Zealand crossed the line to complete race 3, but they don't get the point. 37 seconds adrift. They picked up 1 measly second on the downwind leg, and they are now up behind in the match. Scorecard stands: Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli 2, Emirates Team New Zealand 1, and there's another race to come. It's worth a wow, because that performance by Luna Rossa was strong, and it was a building performance.
The sailing world, I wouldn't say is stunned, because none of this should stun us anymore, but a lot of mouths are open, let's put it that way.
Confirmation, race number 3. It goes to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli by 37 seconds. They lead the match 2-1.
This is the race committee. We are setting the start time of race 4 for 17:20.